conference will now be recorded.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I put out a request in the chat box for public comments. I don't see any as far as anybody that's online. Do you have anybody that phoned in or?
No, I don't. Please remember to speak into your microphones and then also make sure that when you're speaking that you let people know who you are that are on the call that maybe aren't on video.
Okay.
But no, I did not have any
Then
public comments.
go into COVID-19 updates. Or do you want to do administrative business?
COVID-19 is fine.
So is Deidre?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, as of April 12th at 11 o'clock in the morning, Kansas had 1,337 cases, 298 hospitalizations, 56 statewide deaths, and 11,916 negatives. As you know, Saturday, Marion County has now 4 lab confirmed cases. I did want to point out that there are some different testing going on, so we're going to have some different classifications. We are going to have confirmed cases, which are lab confirmed by a PCR test, which the PCR test detects viral RNA, and these are they perform well. So that is what KDHE is going to be classified as confirmed cases. Now, there are some testing that's done with serology and then also antigen. The serology tests detect the IgG and the IgM antibodies. They reportedly, according to KDHE, don't work as well. So they are going to consider cases probable if they meet clinical criteria, and that simply means if they have signs and symptoms and they're linked to a confirmed case with no laboratory testing. So they're presumptive if that serology is worked within that, and they also have clinical criteria. So it's going to be kind of confusing. What I plan to do is report the lab confirmed cases until we get up to 5, and then I might, instead of releasing every time we get a case, it will be a weekly. Now, people can go on KDHE's website, and if you hover over Marion County, it will show the number of cases. Unless you feel that it's necessary to, every time we get a lab confirmed positive, I won't be necessarily reporting the probable. So it's going to be a little confusing for a while. Do you have any questions on that?
Deidre, this is Ken.
Deidre, can
Yes.
you hear me?
Do you hear me, Deidre?
Yes, I can.
So, in essence, what you're saying is we probably have more than 4 cases in Marion County?
At this time, I just kind of wanted to make you aware of what's going to be happening in like the days to come, because when we have clients who have been exposed and maybe they're in quarantine, their provider, we don't decide who's tested or not. We recommend they go, like if someone's in quarantine and they develop symptoms, we have them check with their provider. Their provider will determine whether they need to be tested or not. But if they come down with the symptoms and their provider does not test them, then they're a probable case. Does that make sense? And we will treat them as a case. I mean, they'll have to go through the isolation just like if they were lab confirmed.
Okay, thank you.
Deidre, this is Jonah.
Yes.
I'm on the KDHE's website and they're still posting us as 3. I'm wondering what the,
Okay. My guess is, this happened, we got results over the weekend. It was Saturday evening. So, my guess is that it'll show up when they post it at 11 o'clock today. It will show up.
Okay.
On there, because our, Kansas EpiTracks, which I mentioned before, that's where we record all of these. That is a secure website, and it is confirmed in there. The other confusing piece sometimes happens when you have, like, say a patient seeks healthcare in another county, but they're actually a resident from one county, a different county. Sometimes that gets confused and they get counted in that county. So then and sometimes the addresses, just the address can be in one county, a neighboring county, but then it's assumed it's another county. So until the patient gets contacted and we find out actually what county that's from, there's a lot of transferring on our EpiTracks site. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the update to show it and making sure there's no other issues. Just communication error.
Yeah, it's just these things when you go to different providers outside the county or different facilities, sometimes that facility initially, it's like in the very beginning when I think it was Ford in Miami County had supposedly cases, but actually they weren't because they weren't residents of that county, and that sometimes that gets determined the further you get into the investigation.
Okay.
Deidre, this is Ken.
Yes.
Are all counties required to report to KDHE?
All providers are supposed to report to KDHE if they have a positive within 4 hours of determining that positive. However, at this time if any provider tests for COVID-19, within 4 hours of testing, they are to report to KDHE. And that, because obviously if they test, they're suspecting that. So even if they suspect it, they are supposed to report to KDHE within 4 hours.
Okay. There was just a rumor going around to stay out of certain counties because they weren't reporting.
Well, and I'm sure you're gonna hear a lot of rumors. We have a lot of rumors. I mean, I have been getting a lot of phone calls, and I would say probably 75% of those are probably rumors. I do understand people are nervous, they're worried, they're concerned, and I get that, but we are trying to contact the contacts of positive cases. So usually if you haven't been contacted, you probably haven't been identified as a contact. And again, a contact means someone who has been in contact with a positive case within 6 feet for 10 minutes or longer. So if a positive case goes, say they had been at a drive-through restaurant or something, and someone hands them a package or their food and they drive off, that probably wouldn't be a contact. Now, I will tell you that KDHE has started to report if there are outbreaks, and we consider an outbreak 2 or more from one facility. They will report, like if that's happening. I'm sure you've heard there's been numerous long-term care centers, a couple group living centers, a correctional facility. Now there have been like 4 clusters that are related to church gatherings, and then there's several private gatherings that have outbreaks within them. And that KDHE will notify about that.
Yeah, I was just concerned because, you know, we had this employee at Dillon's and McPherson for 2 days. If something like that happens in especially a grocery store, how in the world do you ever find out who all's been in contact?
Well, and that's what, if we have a facility or if we have instances where we think that certain organizations may have been affected, we will get in contact with them and we collect the facility. You know, they have to give us a list of names, and then either if it's a healthcare facility, we would have them monitor. Most of the time they want to monitor their employees themselves. Something else to bring up during this time is there have been healthcare providers. They have different guidelines. If you look on KDHE, if they have been, like if a healthcare provider has been worked with a positive COVID client or patient, then if they were using proper PPE, that means personal protective equipment, they can stay working, providing they're using proper precautions if they are considered essential. If the organization cannot function, if they have to have that staff member, then they are able to continue using that staff member until they come down with symptoms. Obviously, if they have any symptoms, then they would be pulled from working.
Thank you.
I did want to just make a little correction, because it was out there that EpiTrax was the system that pinged off people's phones, but it does not. EpiTrax does not ping off people's phones. It's called Unicast, that is the study that pings off people's phones, and it does the movement within the county. And we were up to a B-. However, after yesterday, we're back down to a C. So just keep in mind that EpiTrax does not ping off your phone. That is confidential. And if the health department calls you to collect information, all of that information is confidential. It's unicast is where it it collects the movement within the county. Any further questions?
Anybody got anything else? Nope. Doesn't look like there's anything else. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. Just call me if you have any questions.
Yep. Thank you. All right.
Good morning.
Randy? Randy Frank?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just bring up feed on the things that have been happening. We're monitoring the burn rate. The burn rate is how quickly our medical providers are using the PPE. That's the term they use for that, which is happening quickly. Obviously, our EMS units, they're burning it quicker than they have before, which is the obvious thing. PPE is in a short supply throughout the country. We did receive some safety goggles for the first responders, and I will be getting with them today and sorting those out. It was a small supply, and we're looking for some more, so they don't get splashed in case they're in that environment. We are expecting cleaning supplies that we ordered to clean the ambulances in accordance to their regulations and rules and laws. Also, the cleaning supplies will be able to help in the jail and over the courthouse, and those hopefully will be here this week, if I remember seeing the date on it correctly. Law enforcement's still doing a great job. They're still helping out people with food and prescriptions. Fire and rescue, whenever we call out the, if we call for, or if they're requested the first responders, the ambulance teams will hand the PPE to the responders that they are asking to go into the facility. That way we're not leaving a lot of PPE just sitting on a fire truck waiting to be called. We'll put it in an area that will get rotated and used. So they'll actually hand it to the firemen when they show up. The Sheriff's Department dispatch has been very helpful to us with putting some Nixle messages out on our mass notification on different events that have been happening. For example, Executive Order 2018 that's been in the news a lot. And we are reaching out to all the churches to help them with creating a plan on how to continue reaching out to their clergy, to their attendants during this time to help them out so that they're in compliance with everything. And last night I was able to find another vendor who has hand cleaners, so we'll be looking into that today and possibly purchasing more hand cleaners to put throughout the area for folks.
And Randy's been keeping me up on any purchases that are, but mainly most of them are all being, this is Jonah, being reimbursed in some form or fashion, or at least a big majority of them. So, is there anything else for?
That's all I have.
So when
So
you
that's all I have. Thank you.
reimbursed by the,
Well, yeah,
Under the declaration.
so yeah, under the declaration.
oh, I see, through Randy's emergency, okay.
Yeah, so there was some, the thermometers bought, there were some things that were bought that just, yeah. So, anyway, is there anything else for Randy? It's Kent?
It's Kent, Randy. One of the nursing homes in Hillsborough said they received a supply of hand cleaner from the Boot Hill Distillery in Dodge City. And they were supplying a number of those, and you may know all about that.
We've reached out to several distilleries, including the one in Reno County, and we're on the list. We're just waiting for them to make enough to start passing out to us.
Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, sir.
All right, move on to administrative business.
Okay, first thing I have are the minutes of April 6th.
Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any questions or concerns with the minutes?
then we have some change orders. I don't know if you want the whole folder or just the payroll.
Yeah. Need exercise.
Need that? Okay. They dry out pretty fast.
Yeah. You wanna just
Yeah,
pass
pass
them
it
in?
around.
Yeah, thank you.
This thing here. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we do have some salary changes.
Okay. Alright. So, this is for, Weed, HHW, salary change for Brandy Enkelman from $29.74 back to $23.80. Return to pesticide technician 2 from interim director. This is a salary change for the sheriff's department, Joshua Lisa, from $17.53 to $17.69, 1 year raise. And for the jail, Brian Edwards, it's a salary change from $13.46 to $13.59, 1 year raise.
Actually, that desk is kind of close to you.
Dollar drops.
I was just waiting for Dave to finish. While we're, all you commissioners would have gotten an envelope this morning. That's for open enrollment. At the beginning of that envelope, you have a memo in there. It kind of gives the instructions on how we're doing open enrollment, and it also is personalized to you, so it shows any benefits that you're enrolled in right now. If you need to make, so if you are not enrolled in health insurance and you don't want to enroll, there's a waiver that you'll sign in the packet. If you are enrolled, and then you just need to mark which option that you want to keep. Mm-hmm. And then you'll sign that. If you have any other optional benefits through our benefit vendor, then there are steps on here on how to call into that center to update those benefits. And then we're also doing a couple of virtual employee meetings. And so all of that information is on your cover sheet that's in your little package. And so we would need all of your paperwork back by next Monday if you would. And if you have any questions about the benefit enrollment, or you need any help, please call us. So
basically, if you're not enrolled, you just gotta sign off somewhere.
yeah, there's a waiver form.
Okay.
It's a form that's for enrollment and or to waive coverage. And then also, we did make a change. We went with, we made a slight change to, well, it's not really a slight change, to our flex spending accounts. Instead of administering those in-house, I did go ahead and we are gonna have those through Surancy, because they will help us with our plan document, where right now we're doing it on our own. And then also that allows the employees to have a debit card and to carry over the $500, like Sally discussed. So that will be a difference in, we did have a flex spending account, but that'll be a little bit different than what we've had in the past. And so it should be a good thing for our employees. So we'll have all that information in the new plan document, hopefully for next Monday. So, because that does, every year we have you all approve the plan document, so. Okay, does anybody have any questions about open enrollment? And Randy Dalkey, I'll get your packet to you. Okay. All right, the next thing that I have, we have, I would anticipate that we may have more people this summer and fall that want to vote by mail or vote in advance ballot. And so I am just kind of getting ready for that. We've always had advance voting, and it has become more popular in recent years. That's the option where you request the ballot and then we send it in the mail, and then people can vote it. They put it back in a special envelope and provide the information that we need, and then they can either mail it back, they can drop it off in our office, or on election day they can now drop it off at any polling place in the county. And so I was looking at potential for a drop box for us to have here. And the one that I am looking at, these are pretty heavy duty.
They're all outdoor.
They're outdoor, So see this one on the right? It's, the one I'm looking at is like that, except it doesn't have the bottom door. It's smaller. So it's on the pole like this, but it's just got the top. So there's a tiny little picture of it down here on the proposal, but you can't really see it. So do you see on the screen? It's that little tiny picture. But if you look at the main, right there, that's what it looks like, just not this bottom part. And so the cost of that, I've included in your packet. The proposal for that is $2,082. And so,
and where did you put that?
we've been talking about that. We also ordered a drop box for the treasurer's office for tax payments and paperwork. And so, because this, if we, when we get to the point where we do any courthouse security or anything else, and we wanted to put it near our handicap accessible entrance to the building. So we are looking at putting it along this sidewalk over here.
You wouldn't do a drive-by?
The box that the treasurer's office is getting is not a type that you can drive up to. It doesn't have the snout. Now this one could be, but if we, if we put it where it's easily handicapped accessible, to everyone to walk up, I think that's probably.
The city of Marion has a drive-by box. It's well used over by the.
I thought theirs was a walk-up.
No, it's a drive-up.
Yeah, we looked at different options for that. Yeah.
It needs to be farther in the parking lot to do the drive-up.
Right, we've looked at a lot of options if we wanted to do it as a drive-up. The thing that I really like about the spot, well, there are several things about the place that we think that we will probably put it. One, it's well lit. It's near an entrance that will be well used, especially if we ever get to the point with courthouse security that we're only utilizing one entrance. And it is easy to add security camera to be able to view it. So those are some of the things that we were looking at when we were talking about the proposed locations, so.
So if you have a drop box out there, this is for ballots?
Yeah, this particular one is specifically for ballots.
So how often would you empty that?
At least every day.
And so when you take the ballots out of there, where would you put them?
Just exactly that, we would do the same process that we use for all of our ballots that come in the mail. They are secured in our vault, in our office, so.
The only thing I think it's a great idea, I just wonder if this becomes our main entrance, rather than creating a choke point, maybe it would be better served at another entrance.
Well, the problem then is how are you going to have it accessible to people with limited mobility?
It's not handicap.
It's not handicap accessible at any other entrance.
That's why I drive up one.
Well, we got people trying to come in the building and then other people that are just trying to line up to drop it in the box.
Well, I don't think they're gonna line up. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
I can't
I know,
imagine we're
but
gonna
I'm
have a
just-
line for people just dropping off a ballot outside.
I guess my thoughts go to leaving the stadium on game day, you know, everybody's,
Yeah.
if you can get some to go over here, you're better off.
Yeah, I would really like to consider a drive up instead of walk up. It's more handy for a lot of people.
Well, we do have a plan if we wanted to do it as a drive up. It's just, it causes, really about the only place we could do it would be out here on this back lot. And we would have to pour a little pad out here, and it would have to
Just
be,
drive through the lot.
they could drive through, but they'd have to drive through the opposite direction of, potentially of the traffic pattern now. So,
Yeah, I don't foresee that there's gonna be that much traffic, and if it's in a handicap accessible area, I agree with that.
well, and we can figure out the exact location. I just,
You just need to make an
yeah,
order.
if we're okay with approving the order or
Takes a while
not.
to get it.
Yeah, we wouldn't have it until the middle of May or so.
One other thing, I mean, obviously, seriously wouldn't be really looking at this without it being a coronavirus type thing. Is there any chance on funding coming for something like this? Cause you're changing the way
Potentially.
you're doing things in order to accommodate for the virus.
We can certainly submit it. I am trying to be proactive because of this situation. Because especially if we don't know how long our, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily foresee that we'll be closed to the public still by then. I'm hoping not. But
Yeah.
They're predicting it's gonna come back in the fall, so this would be prepared if it did.
right.
We don't want it to.
Can you move your mic closer?
Yeah, thanks, or just if you would just lean in more to it when you're talking.
Well, if it lasts into the fall or comes back, it's financially gonna be devastating to this county.
Well, there's gonna have to be
I mean, even the country, the
Yeah.
country's already just, I mean, depression is all you hear about anymore. I don't know how long we can fight the virus with economics.
well, we can.
Well, I would guess by next fall, we should be, may not have a vaccine, but there should be therapies and more protocols, and there's gonna be so much more information to go by.
There's new information out every day, so
Yeah.
it's moving pretty
I
rapid.
mean,
Randy, I see your microphone is green. Did you have something to say about it?
Yes, Dana, worst case scenario, getting down to election time, we had 30 or 40 or running 50 a day through that box, and the little prankster decides to rip it off, what happens?
Well, that is a risk. I mean, it's a pretty sturdy container and we would have a surveillance camera on it. But it is a risk. Whenever you put a drop box like that out, it is a risk, so. It's just the same kind of a risk you would have with a mailbox or,
Correct. There's always somebody trying to challenge us somehow. hope it never happens being that close to courthouse, but
Right, and it's also,
other things have happened.
it's also right in line of sight of the sheriff's office too. If you're putting something in that box, you're looking right at the sheriff's office, right in the
Well,
place
that's
that we
what I was
have.
wondering, if it's any better over there in front of the courthouse, or in front of the jail.
Yeah, I had thought of that too.
And they've already got cameras.
Just as in case, of course, we get into that later.
Right,
So can
Yeah.
we ponder on this a little while?
as far as the purchase,
Yeah,
sure, but the longer we wait, then the longer it's gonna take me to get it, so.
I understand that.
This is Dave, and I believe that, we need to move forward and get in here, then we can see where we wanna put it, if we physically have a hold up and look at it.
You making a motion to approve
Yes,
the
I'm
purchase?
just gonna motion to approve the
2,000,
So you don't wanna
of
think
the
about
small
it?
one to the right.
for $2,082.
I'll second it.
Okay. That's your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Kent seconds. Any other discussion?
I just think we're being a little hasty. I mean, it just dropped on us. Haven't even had a chance to really ponder it. So I just think we're being a little hasty.
I looked at it last week, I mean, when the packet come out, so,
That was Friday.
yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it too. But I mean, to really think about and different things that we brought up,
Yeah.
you know.
But as far as, that was all location based, where we wanted to put it,
Yeah.
but this thing will still work for a drive up, it will still work for over here, it'll still work for over there, so.
That can be determined yet, but I agree with Tina, she needs to get it ordered, because just the way things are, it may take extra month or two longer than we think even to get it.
And then, probably lots of people ordering these.
I know Saline County has ordered a bigger one.
Randy,
Yes.
your mic is still on, so I'm just
Yep.
seeing if you have anything to say.
Oh, just seeing if we can take a vote.
Okay,
There's a motion on the floor, and
Yeah.
Ken second.
Kent second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0.
Okay, I will get that ordered. And that was all I had on the,
So Tina, I have a question, talking about the election. You're up for election this year also, am I correct?
that's correct, well, my
So-
position is.
Yes, okay. So I'm wondering what kind of procedures you have in place to separate yourself from being part of the ballot
Well,
handling.
unfortunately, that is the position that your 104 county clerks in the county are, in the state of Kansas are in.
Yes,
We are tasked with administering the election, and our name is on the ballot, and that happens every 4 years. And we try to make the procedure and the process as open as possible, but the fact of the matter is that I will have to administer the election.
and so your deputy can't do a big part of it.
Our whole staff does a big part of the election. It's a huge undertaking, and especially on presidential year. And so, I will take every precaution, and I don't handle any ballots without someone else also present. We are open in our processes, when it comes to counting, as you well know.
See, I was gonna question that because I know with this last election, everybody was out here in the hall,
That's exactly
And
right.
everything
You
was
have
in
access.
but you could only look through the window.
You
only
can
look through
stand at the
but
door and
there were certain
watch.
other people in here that probably shouldn't have been. And so I was just kind of wondering how that's gonna work.
What?
Well,
About
I know
other
there
people?
was, I know there was a gentleman in here from the wind farm for a little while, and then he
No.
left because Jerry Mendoza wanted to come in because he was a polling agent and wasn't allowed. And so I was gonna question how all that works.
I'm not sure what you're referring. The only people that were in this room on election day are staff.
I know I seen him in here, and I know other people have too, but that's. we'll
I
just
guess
leave
you'll
that
have to tell me who that is, because I'm unaware of what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I can get his name. I mean, I just wanna make sure that it's transparent, I don't.
It will
like
be
all the-
absolutely transparent.
Absolutely transparent, just looking at it from afar, from the doorway, right?
Yes. But we did set up an area where the person that is, if they're an authorized poll agent, they can be in the room. behind a barrier, which they were able to walk in, a small space into the room.
Really?
Yes.
Because I was here and I know this person was out in the hallway all the whole time and was upset because he wasn't out there.
We had it to where they could walk in the room. There was a little area in the doorway where
Yeah.
they could walk into. And that was explained when they came. I had a very good conversation and I felt like we had a good understanding with the pool agent that was here. So,
I'll have to get clarification then because I was told a little different story.
and I understand that you weren't here, but,
No, I was here.
okay,
I was here.
okay.
I mean, I didn't stay for the entire time, but I was certainly here. I seen Mr. Crowfoot was here.
Okay, well, there was a space, we went, above and beyond what we even normally do
Like I said,
to
I've been
try
on
to
the
make
bench
it,
for a long time.
to try to make it transparent, and we did have it to where the pool agent could be inside the room, but behind a barrier. So-
Because I didn't see it, okay?
Oh,
But
that's
I was-
okay.
And I know he was outside the whole time in the hallway with us. So, but anyway, just wondering how that happens. I was just trying to get transparency and clarity.
Sure.
So that
It
doesn't
does
happen
put
again.
every single county clerk that has to administer election when their name is on the ballot, it puts us all in a very, a spot of high scrutiny, but we're already there anyway.
Is there any rules to where you could run the camera, just to avoid any,
That would be awesome.
Well,
I mean,
the
just-
problem, we would have to make sure that it's, there are some rules about photography of voted ballots
Uh-huh.
and the actual,
yeah, I just trying to quiet anything that's gonna come up here and offer some sort of transparency.
this year it's gonna be a little bit even more challenging because right now I don't have an election clerk. And getting one hired and trained and ready for a big election is going to be a challenge, so, but we will get through it.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that off.
Okay.
Just go on to Josh Hausman. Is he on?
I saw his, yes, I believe
Yeah.
so.
All right.
Let me find, he had sent over some chemical bids and
Yeah.
that was after the packets went out, so let me go ahead and see if I can get that to pull up. Okay, so he has the chemical bids are on the screen there. And I didn't know if you had anything else, but that's. Josh, are you ready?
I did send, yep. I did send out to four different companies and only 2 of them replied. I tried staying in the county, but neither one of them replied back to the bids.
Okay. And then the boxes in yellow are your recommendations?
The boxes of yellow, they're the least expensive if we want to go that route too. Because I did put in the paper that each chemical will be presented individually. So we could pick and choose if we wanted.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? If not.
Yeah, Jonah?
Okay. Yeah, Randy.
Tina, did Markley Service drop out of this? Did they officially, and I didn't know, this being the first time for Josh, maybe on chemical bids, whether they're still a service or not?
I don't know the answer to that. I know we haven't
I don't either.
called on them in a really long time.
Okay. Josh, have you heard anything about them?
No, I haven't. I kind of went off Bud's, who he sent the past few years.
Okay.
So,
Okay, just checking, thank you.
yep.
With that, I guess I'm gonna take Josh's recommendation and approve the amount of $38,307.95.
38,307.95.
Did you intend to make that into a motion?
Yeah, that was my motion, was to
So-
approve the $38,307.95.
Divided between the two vendors.
Yeah, well, he's
He's
That's-
got it highlighted there.
that's his amount approved. He can spend it here or there, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll second it. Dave?
Dave seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 5-0. All right. Is there anything else, Josh?
Nope, that's it.
Everything going good over there?
Yep,
All right.
going good. I'm just,
Okay. Well, then we will move on to Road and Bridge with Bryce.
I'm here.
Hi.
Okay, and, they had sent some copies up this morning for each of you.
Those copies are the official qualities from Harshman for the material that we've been getting since the start of the year. Those two official qualities, I have the highlight information. On the third page is actually information from Toronto in the Woodson County Court that we were going to get from, that Diane had talked about before, just talking about comparisons. So you had requested that information, I believe, from last week. So I just kind of gave you all the copy for that. Based on about Thursday of last week with all of our invoices, we're set about $435,000 in rock. About $70,000 that is haul, and $365,000 is in material. We have not received all the vouchers coming in from our contracted people yet. We should be getting those anytime. So it will definitely push us up even higher, but just based on what we've decided in the past, we've got rid of the contract haulers and we are just going back to spotting in the bad areas. So we submitted our Department of Ag response last week and it was approved. It was approved within 2 hours. So we have mobilized out to the site on 310 and started working on that with a temporary closure. I talked to Tina last week. I don't know whether she has done any more with the official information on the closure and or vacation.
I have not, I was waiting for the, description.
Yep.
Okay.
I just remembered that now, so I'll get that to you
Okay, thank you.
today. So we need to get that in process. I finally received a revised copy of the land agreement, lease agreement with, for our concrete stockpile Friday afternoon. I sent it up to the landowner for him to look at. He hadn't had a chance to look at it yet, so I will get back with you once we get everything resolved on both sides for signatures. The other thing I was kind of wondering is, I know we've talked about not purchasing any more than we have to, but I would like to ask for permission to get 2 pieces of equipment this year, based on the $45,000 that I got from sale of equipment last year. I'd like to get a little bit bigger used tractor, as well as a new flail mower to go behind our tractors so we can mow more of our county road ditches. And I think both of them together, I ought to be able to get in the neighborhood of $50,000. So I guess I'd ask for commission approval to do that.
Bryce,
Yeah.
what width flail mower are you gonna go with? And then, the tractor, you're gonna make it a versatile tractor to pull that and something else maybe?
Yeah, if we're working in the ditches, we've tried the tractors we have, trying to pull that round disc, and it's really pulling hard. For a 120 horse tractor, I'd like to get up in the neighborhood of 150 to 160 horse. Maybe get some duals with it, give us more pulling power. As far as the flail mower, I've kind of been looking in the 60 to 72 inch range. Very similar to what a bat wouldn't be, only wouldn't have the part right behind the tractor. It does have a adjustable, height and everything else. So, but I think it would be so much more beneficial for our county roads than it would with our bat wings.
But to put a dual wheel tractor pulling that little 72 inch flail mower down in the tractor dual, you put it down in the ditch, is that what you got in mind?
No, the flail mower would allow us not to have to go into the ditch. I'm gonna get an offset that will set it outside the duals, so that we wouldn't have to run it down into the ditch.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I've had quotes for, preliminary quotes now for quite a while on the flail mower. I just haven't got down to getting that point there. But like I said, I think between both of them ought to be around $50,000 or thereabouts.
Bryce, this is Ken. You did mention the monies that had been received off of the sale of the equipment we had, but what type of budget impact is that going to have to the equipment line item?
Well, I have $400,000, and as of right now, we've got the skid steer payment on there for $8,000, and then whatever the dozer payment was, I can't remember what that was set up exactly, or if it has been set up exactly. I think it was in the neighborhood of 30-some thousand.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that we've purchased so far on the equipment budget have been those two things.
Bryce, would this be items that we could buy in county?
I've actually looked at a tractor that Prairie Land has right now. I've compared that tractor to what's being offered online and things like that. Very comparable, and that's one of the things I was looking at for that. Obviously, you wouldn't have to go very far to get it either, but like I said, I've been comparing them. As far as the flail mowers, that would definitely have to be out of county. Well, the possibility of it, John Deere actually has a flail mower that's available that we can get quotes on. It's actually made, I believe, it's originally from Poland, but they actually have a distributor around. So that would be a possibility. But as far as the other one, Can Equip offers one, but that's the closest place there would be Harrington, but their sales actually come out, I believe, North Dakota or South Dakota. There's not a lot of places around that make these flail mowers, but so it makes it kind of tough for that. But I would get comparable bids from all of them. So.
Okay, what you're saying is you would get bids from all the county implement dealers?
Yes. Yep. I contacted 6 different companies, and only 3 of them had the flail mowers available. So.
Yeah, but I'm also on the tractor bid for a tractor.
Yeah, I would check locally to see what's out there.
This Dave, is this a used tractor?
Yes. New tractors comparable to what we have now would run over 60,000, and I mean, we don't need a new tractor for what we're doing here. I mean, it's more money, but if I went with the same size horsepower in a new tractor, it'd be over $100,000, and I can't justify that.
This can't. Being you're talking about $50,000 or more, would it make sense to do a lease purchase?
We can talk to them about that. Just we can specify when.
Yeah, I'm just concerned. I'm concerned about encumbering so much cash just right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Randy, can you hear? Randy, don't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We have some people saying they can't hear, and I just wanted to make sure you could, and must be something
No.
on their end.
No, everything so far for me is good.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so, if somebody can't hear on the if you're on your computer, check your settings of your speakers to make sure that you have, hopefully you have speakers on your computer. And you need to kind of check to see if you can turn those up. If you don't have speakers on your computer, then you can participate, on your computer, but you could also call in for the sound.
Okay, Linda Peters says she can't hear a thing.
All right, I'm trying to address that.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you're talking to?
Well, I'm talking to anybody without calling out anybody.
Okay. Well, it'd be the same as if she was sitting here and the camera could see her. I'm sure she's not trying to hide.
Yeah, so we're getting reports back that they can hear. There's just one individual that can't hear. So, yeah.
I'll type a message.
All right, let's, man, they're flooding in now. Everybody can hear. Yeah, so, do we wanna wait and have Bryce bring us some quotes?
I'd like to.
He needs
Okay.
permission to
Yeah.
come in.
To get us quotes.
Bryce, I think, if you could get some bids from, the local implement dealers in Marion County first of all, then of course,
Sure.
if you can't, you'd be allowed, but to give us time to discuss that a little bit and then see what's feasible, whether we need to pay for it outright, whether we need to do lease purchase, something like that.
Okay. I'll get that to you by next week.
Okay. Thank you, Bryce. Is there, anything else?
Nope, that's all I had.
All right,
I'm sending this to the wrong person.
thank you, Bryce. So is, Ricky?
Ricky is here.
Very good. I will let you take the floor for a second. Tell us what you got.
Well, all right, back in, January, we approved the resolution with the intent to form an extension district with Dixon County. Our world has changed since that time, huh? But anyway, we did do that. That resolution has been published in the papers, both here and in Dixon County. The Dixon County Commissioners also approved that. And so it has been placed, it was placed in both newspapers. After the publishing of the resolution, that triggers in what is called a 60-day public comment window or period, where if there's going to be a public protest filed, they have that time frame to file that protest. It does not appear that there's going to be a protest filed in either county. And so we began work next on what is called the operational agreement. The document that you all have, and I can see it looks like you have it up on your screen there too, and you may have a hard copy of it as well, is that document that we call an operational agreement. I do think that just to go through the process here, I think that this probably becomes the most difficult step. It is this document was developed by a working group made up of board members from Marion County and Dixon County. All of the staff was involved in that, as well as Kansas State University. So that's kind of the working group that helped to develop this. What happens is that if we can, this same document will be presented to the Dixon County Commission Board, and we will, what we'll try to do is to, if you have any objections or want any changes made, we will try to make that happen. At some point, when you become comfortable and you're ready to sign it, at that point, really this becomes your final approval with the formation of the district. So much of what is in this document is state statutory language, and I'll try to fly over that maybe and try to go ahead and get into the pieces maybe that I think that you'll be more interested in. But anyhow, I guess what I wanted to do was to walk you through this a little bit so you kind of have an idea of what's in there. You know, one thing that I've learned in our new world is that I've done more Zoom or virtual meetings than I ever thought I would do in my entire life. I apologize if it seems like I'm loud. I don't know how much you're here on your end, but if it seems like I'm yelling at you,
You're just fine.
please, I'm not meaning to.
You're just fine, Ricky.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then what we can do is we'll go ahead and try to work through or go through this agreement. Stop and yell at me at any time, and with questions or any comments that you may have, and we'll go from there. Up in the opening paragraph, we did decide on a name.
Ricky, this is Jonah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
I was just gonna ask the board, has everybody had a chance to review it and look it over? Is there anything that stands out that seems alarming? Randy?
Down in there, you just went by just a second ago, Dixon County wants to put an aging agent on. How does that interfere with our senior center directions and things like that?
It does not, Randy. That's a great question, and there's been a great deal of conversation about that and how that agent will work here, but it does not. What happened is and I think that Jill Martinson, the director from Dixon County, is listening, I believe. And if I state something wrong, well, I'll invite her to correct me here. But essentially, Randy, Dixon County does not have a Department of Aging, and they asked Extension to pick up the programming, some of that programming and work that department did. And to accommodate that, then they have a dedicated agent to do that work. We do not. We have a Department of Aging here, and some of those needs may not be present here that are present there. And consequently, we would expect that agent to spend more time in Dixon County than they would in Marion County, but it's not going to impact, it does not impact our Department of Aging a bit, Randy.
Okay,
What about the,
that's one question.
go ahead, Randy.
But when it comes back to it, I'm gonna lead into things, and Ricky, you opened it up with a great statement, is how times have changed. I'm just gonna ask you, I've been at this for a long time, more than anybody else. How do you feel about that statement? And the reason why I had trouble with this all along was because we're creating a new taxing district. And so I really want the commissioners, both Dickinson County and Marion County, to think of the tax load. We don't know how this is going to affect our tax load next year, what's going on right now. And it sure brings some thoughts to me that maybe I need to think about this the second time or third time. So that's, when I caught that through there, I mean, sure, I understand why they would want that and know that. But yet at the same time, we have this already in Marion County. So, and they've got something probably in Marion County or in Dickinson County that we don't have in Marion County we may be asking for. I don't know what that would be right now, Ricky.
I don't know, Randy, I don't know if I know how to answer everything you just stated there. I mean, as far as the tax load, I guess my response would be that, you know, we try to address that through having a mill cap in there. And that's how we try to address that tax load, would be my answer. You know, I'm not, I mean, but that unique situation in Dixon County, it is to address a significant need that they have there. But I still don't think that impacts Marion County, and certainly not our aging department here at all.
Well, I was gonna touch on what Randy.
But it does our tax load.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jonah.
I was gonna touch on what Randy said, because if we have it in Marion County and they don't have it in Dickinson, it gets tied to this tax bracket, then we actually get to fund their senior deal, and that's what I think we're going, the thought is here with Randy too. Am I right on that, Randy? Is that
Yes.
where you were going? Yeah.
Yes.
And we definitely
Yes.
don't want to. We need something to offset that if that's the way that's going to go, because there needs to be a service for Marion County betterment too, other than it all be one-sided. So is there any chance that this part of the document could be taken out? Ricky?
We would have to work with, we can, I can address that and we can find that out.
Okay.
And how we can word that. I guess, Jonah or Randy, also what I would like to make, the point is that, you know, that agent will still be doing work in Marion County. I don't mean to think that they won't, it's just that they probably would do more in Dickinson County because they do not have that department like we do here. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't do any work here. But we can we can see how that can be addressed further.
Ricky, this is Kent.
Ricky?
Yes.
Would that institute maybe some type of a side agreement, you know, to address that, being that, you know, our initial thought is, well, we're funding something in Dickinson County that we're not getting any benefit out of, being that we already have a Department of Aging, and how that overlap might work to the benefit also of Marion County.
Right. There's a simple thought to, maybe our aging department needs to be included in either some, whatever funding they spend over there, we get over here, or
Okay.
Well, there need to be a shared.
Let me,
or somehow incorporate our aging.
I will work on that with administration and with Dixon County, and I will see if there's anything we can do, how we can handle that paragraph and that benefit, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything else that stands out in the documents that Ricky can address those issues too?
Okay. We will, I will come back,
I will
I guess.
ask the board to re-review it, and if they
Yes,
see
that's
anything
what
else, to give Ricky a call and, you know, tell him what they see. That way he can try to get it all ironed out in one shot.
Okay, I will do. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Ricky.
Yep.
All right. Takes us on to public comments. Is there anybody out there? So we have a Kevin Suderman that would like to make a public comment.
Yeah, this is Kevin Suderman. I want to thank you for allowing me to make some comments here. Just on Ricky's information, I've served on that board before. That's been on an ongoing discussion for nigh on to 12, 15 years. I understand the issue of taxation that Randy brings up, but the one thing I do want to remind the commissioners of is that at some point, how are you going to support our county from a 4-H and extension situation? Then the other issue is Dickinson County is a much larger county than ours. So you've got to understand that the program that's going to be offered out of the 4-H and extension programs is going to have more opportunities. Why? Because Dickinson County is actually going to provide more tax base into this program than what Marion County is. And I also want to remind you, it's capped. Right now, it's not capped. You guys are in charge of it. And Ricky comes to you every year and asks for money in the budget. And you may think you're in control of it, but in some respects, you're really not. So I think you really need to consider that from that standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there anybody else out there that would like to have a public comment? I'm looking in the chat box. Okay. I'd like to also remind everybody that they can, prior to the meeting, call the clerk's office and make sure that their name is on the list. I want to make sure that nobody gets left out. Trying our best in these little bit unprecedented times. Things get better week by week, but Brad is going to remote in.
He can, I don't believe he's on yet.
Okay.
I haven't seen him.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take it to the commission comments. Does any commissioner have anything to say out there? Is there new information weighing? I really would like to make sure that we take the time to investigate if there's any disaster money for improved internet capabilities. Randy looked around a little bit, Tina looked around a little bit, I've looked around a little bit, but just keeping eyes open for that. It's something our community needs, I believe. I know that there's other entities working on it, but we still need it for our county residents too.
Jonah?
Yeah.
Jonah?
Randy.
I think maybe there's birdies flying around that something's gonna happen. Don't know if the birdie's true or not. I haven't heard directly, but indirectly I've heard that there could be happening maybe yet this year. So I don't know that, I don't know if it's been taken to either bigger city, larger city in our county or not, but it was just mentioned last week about possibility of maybe some company running some higher speed internet into our towns.
Yeah, and I'm aware of the cities. They're working on getting a backbone and providing. But is that the time we need to start looking at funding to take it from those hubs out to some of our county residents? Just if there is monies available to try to help this company, just take it another step further. That's all I got.
So I just got a message that somebody sent a message to be read. Did they send it to you?
There's another chat in the meeting
Oh, okay.
after you moved on to commission comments.
Did not see it.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, the last one I got was Kevin.
Can you move to scroll down?
So got
Amy's,
it right there.
I can just read it. Amy Sawyer, or Soyez, I'm not quite sure how exactly she wants that pronounced. She states, I would like polling agents to be able to do what they are allowed being in the counting room.
Okay.
Is that a comment then from Linda or not? Is that what I'm looking at?
No, that was a question asked.
She had asked a question earlier, and I think that Jonah brought that up during the extension time about including our aging program. So.
Okay. So, any other commissioner comments? Any other discussion? Randy?
The only thing, I guess I didn't ask Bryce before he left, is what is the commission's feelings on Harder Rock and knowing where our budget is and drier weather coming up, and maybe that's time to put some on. Just throwing it out, see where our commission is, where exactly we want to just look at the price and look at the rock we get, or are we putting it completely aside for right now?
Are you talking based on the Harder Rock conversation?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess I'm still in the favor of waiting until some of this cloud is lifted before we revisit that. I don't think it's a bad idea to do. I just kind of hesitant a little bit on the.
Well, I know that in the past week the Road and Bridge has started some ditch operations, clean out what they did out here on 190th. Looks really great. But you know, at the point where we can get some roads rebuilt and then lay down some big rock, then maybe that would be the time to go in over the top with some of the harder rock. But I'd like to see us get some of this road rebuilt before we just start dumping the hard rock back on, and then cover it up or blade it off, or if it's gonna be a ditch cleaning or recrowning or whatever it's gonna be.
So, and I go back to the same thing before, and I realize we need roads rebuilt, but honestly, I think that's an unrealistic task to start rebuilding roads, even if you rebuild 10, 20, 30 miles. I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what we need to do throughout the county. To say that we have to rebuild the roads is awesome, and we need to do that. But in the meantime, we spend $130,000, give or take, on rock. And I know that some of the rock that was put on the roads up in my area was the bigger rock. It was bigger than normal. And my understanding from day one was we were gonna put that down, and then we were gonna go back over it with that harder rock, with those, I guess I was corrected last week, the bonding material in it, so that it will seal that rock that was put down as a base. Because I've always argued that by putting softer rock on as a base is defeating the purpose, because it ultimately gets water in it and it ultimately deteriorates, but I was corrected last week saying that that's not correct. So, if we put the harder rock on top, I'm just afraid that if we don't continue, I think what we've done so far is good, but if we don't finish the job, you know, you hear all the time, all we do is Band-Aids, all we do is Band-Aids. And so, since we did go out and we did spend all that money putting rock on roads, and now if we just walk away from it and just leave it the way it is, it's another Band-Aid. And so that's gonna be another $130,000 ultimately down the drain if we don't top it with harder rock with the bonding material in it.
I guess my thought was going back to the testing strips.
I'm done with the
totally,
testing strips.
The testing strips need to be postponed.
Yeah,
But without the testing strips, we don't know what is the right choice in harder rock. So all we can do is service the public however Bryce is able to service and go forward until this cloud is lifted.
So you're just talking on the testing strips?
Well, if you don't know which rock we're talking about, then which one are you gonna pick to overlay everything?
Well, it just seems to me as though an engineer would be able to look and kind of have a good idea on that. I'm sure Bryce could look at some of that rock. He obviously liked the rock that he put down on Linda's Road, or he probably would not have put it there. And I think it's Falcon, if I'm not mistaken. And I think also that rock that he put up by Kent's also is getting hard, which would be a good cap, and I'm sure he felt comfortable with that if he went to look at it before he bought it. Or he wouldn't have bought it, I'm assuming. So, I mean, I think we're making it a whole lot, and we can do that. We can make it just as complicated as we want. And I think really we're making it way more complicated than it needs to be. If you have rock with results that are 99, 98, and it's the harder rock, what more do you need?
That's coming out of Harson's.
Well, that's the bigger rock that he was putting on. That's the base rock that's the base rock. And so far we haven't put any harder rock over top of anything. And that's the clean rock that we've been putting on, because that's what we asked for last week. So we're talking two different things here, Jonah. I'm talking about now the hard, soft rock with the bonding material in it to cover it.
We don't want any more screenings.
You do on top of that, yes, you need to bond it together. I mean, I've worked on this now for a year. I've talked to everybody from truckers to rock, everything. But you need a certain amount of screenings in there to bond it together, otherwise you just got a bunch of marbles. Now, when the road was wet and we had mud, the ideal thing was to do is to put down that big rock to build a base. Now that gets smushed down into the dirt. But then you go over top of it with that rock with the vines in it. I mean, maybe not as many as what we've seen, because that was pretty bad, I thought, but just my opinion. But we need to get something over top of that then to seal it, and to build a hard top base.
I don't know, I'm from the camp that we gotta get crowns on the roads.
Well, that's just it, you know, we put some of that big stuff down, but our blade men are the ones that's gonna be in charge, responsible to get the crown back up. And I always said, until you get the water off,
Right.
And so I will ask the commission why, and I've said this for quite some time, and I know living up in Dickinson County for 15 years, the way the blademen did up there, you know, you have blademen, and I don't know why it is, if they're trained this way, it would almost seem to me as though they are, because they all do the same thing, and that is they just absolutely blade the road flat. Even some of the roads that were built last year and the year prior, the crowns are leaving. And the reason for that is they're blading them flat. So, up in Dickinson County, when I lived up there, when they had the crowns on the road, every time well, not every time, but most of the time when the blademen would blade, they'd have that blade tilted just slightly so that they were going ahead always and putting that crown on, just maintaining the crown. That's where I think we're failing, we're not maintaining. So you can build it, and one of the examples that I was told, I did not go down and look at this road, it's in your district, it's down by that Wool Church, that road that goes from Highway 15 East. We rebuilt that not very long ago, and that crown is deteriorating. And why is that? Because the blademans are not maintaining that crown.
I did go down and look at that road.
Okay.
There is a weak spot in it.
Yeah.
But it's, to say the whole road is bad is.
I didn't say the whole road is bad, you did. I said that the crown is leaving, it's going down. It's not like it was a year ago. Did you see it when it was new?
I'm
Right
sure
after
it was
it was
over the top of
rebuilt?
it.
You did go after it was rebuilt, you went and looked at it?
I didn't purposely look at it, but I drive all the roads. I mean, I'm all over the place, so.
Okay. Well, I know when after it was done, it was beautiful, and I'm not saying it's not pretty now, but it certainly isn't beautiful.
And I had an issue just recently on another road, and I went and checked it, and it was, and by the time I got to that road, I knew I was in good shape. So, the road I was out there to see was in bad condition, and I was white knuckling it all the way through to get to that road that got me out. So, that road is not in bad shape.
Which road are you talking about?
It was Chisholm
Are you
north
talking
of,
about,
north of
okay, so
120th.
you're telling me a story about you drove a bad road to get to a good road, but I don't know what road you're talking about.
Chisholm.
Okay, so you drove on Chisholm and it was bad, and you were trying to go to where?
Just trying to check out Chisholm, because that's what I was asked to do, but I wasn't about to turn around once I was in it.
Oh, okay, so
And
I was
had to-
talking about the road down in
That's 130th.
Fossil.
That's 130th, and I've been on it. I've been on it when it's bad, and it's not that bad.
So it's not bad as it was at one point.
It
What are you
wasn't
talking about, it's not
this
as
year.
bad as another road that you were on?
It wasn't bad this year. I mean, it really wasn't. There was a soft spot in it.
Okay, I didn't say it was, I just said that it is not as good as it used to be. Okay.
Well,
And also, another road you should drive is the one, 290th, I guess it would be 280th. Okay, from Limestone going east, that road was just rebuilt 2 years ago. Come look at it. Maybe then we'll be able to have a better discussion. Okay, because now the road, I mean, it was rebuilt beautiful. Dried out as soon as we got a rain in no time because the water just ran off.
And that's what we
And
gotta
now
do.
the road is like this.
This is the discussion we need to have Brad Bryce involved in.
Right.
We were talking about, so you were asking a question about the rock, and so that's where I was going with it, and, Mr. Becker brought up about, just, I don't even know what he said anymore.
Well, I mean,
Talk about the rock.
talking
the
about
hard
going
rock.
forward, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
with the hard rock, because
And-
Randy brought up the question about the hard rock.
And I think I'm still going to be on the camp of what Bryce has been doing to get us through this time has been working. I've been getting nothing but compliments on our road and bridge. I think we need to leave it until the clouds get lifted. That's where I'm at.
John?
Yep.
The question I would put out here is I thoroughly believe that it's the time to buy the hard rock, and sometimes they're coming up, sometime this summer. I don't know when there is some, when there's not some out there, I mean, because then when there's not some, you can't buy it. And that's what maybe Bryce ran into in the middle of the winter, because as soon as we made the motion to do it, why then then we hit the mud and all that, and everybody's wanting rock, and everybody's out of rock. So I'm just bringing to attention that if we want to buy some, whatever we buy, maybe we ought to do it here later in the hot weather.
I agree with
If
you,
we
Randy.
have the cash.
Plus, we need to
I
be able,
agree.
we need to be able to budget for that in the new budget. So we're not spending all of the general fund down.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is yeah, I'm willing to hear it. I just don't wanna say today that we should go out and buy hard rock, I guess. So, the other thing I was going to bring up is the fuel contract. Everybody heard today that the markets around the world have reached an agreement to cut back on production. That discussion on contracting fuel might need to take a front seat here in a minute.
Well, we need to see if we can get a longer term contract.
Yeah.
That may be hard to do, but it'd be good to check on it anyway.
I don't think we don't contract fuel right now, do we? We just do it on bids.
Well, I mean,
Right.
bids.
Yeah,
I
but we
thought-
should be
thought
doing
Bryce was working
contracting.
on that to
I'd
get
like to do contracting.
contract.
I mean, if we could get a contract, but boy, if you're in that business, do you want a contract right now?
You know, you contract whatever you can hold.
Yeah, that's the issue is capacity.
But they store it for you too, in some cases. They will store it for you.
I think it'd be wise to look at anyway, see what the potential is. There's be some definite cost savings if we could.
So, any other topics? If not, I'll make a
Well,
motion.
we may wanna get that East Shore vacation back on the agenda at some point, so we can get that finalized.
It'll be May, what was it, May?
You said the middle of May, you didn't say a date.
So, we'll put, yeah, so can we just go ahead and designate a date so that,
The 18th or the 11th, maybe? I would be okay with the 11th. Is there anybody else
The 11th of what?
of May?
May.
Has everybody had a chance to
No,
go out
that's
and
fine.
look at it, maybe see what, physically what they're trying to do? Randy, are you okay with that? I didn't hear.
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Alright,
And so I want to do one other thing. I'd like to put Road and Bridge back on the work session that we originally started. I know you canceled it. But we were going to discuss other things on that too, policies that need to really be in place.
I just postponed it. I didn't set a date to postpone it to, but I did just postpone it.
Well, can we set a date to bring it back on so it doesn't get just dropped? I mean, because like I say, we need to set multiple policies.
So, yeah, I'm okay with it. I didn't think it was fair to the public at this time. So many people are passionate about that topic. And we're going into a virtual world right now, and it's.
But we still have to conduct the business.
Right, and I'm okay with it if we wanna open that door during this time period. I mean,
Maybe we should look at it May, see if we can get this state back open again.
I think that'd be good. Because I know people are very disappointed because again, we got a lot of policies that are just hanging there.
And I get it. I know that a lot of people are part of that conversation, and I didn't want to make them, especially when we were first starting up on this, and.
We're getting better now.
Yeah, and people are getting more accustomed to tuning in, so it's getting better, so that gives them the opportunity to be part of that conversation.
So can we set it up for May, or like he said?
You said May, you got a date that?
No, I just thought, I'm just hopeful that we can get the economy back started again by the 1st of May, but that's just a guess.
The last 2 weeks of May, one of those.
Probably if we
Do
don't
we
get-
wanna make it a work session? to where it is, that's the only topic of the day,
Yeah.
Probably would be, yeah.
so. Let's see, well,
So on
So-
May 11th, that's a
Question.
Monday.
I
The
don't know if
20
you're still
We're gonna do that
addressing
meeting after
questions.
the commission meeting?
No,
okay,
On May the
yeah.
11th?
no,
The
it's like the last
20
2 weeks of May.
29th is payday.
No, well, we just scheduled a meeting for May the 11th, right?
That was for,
That's
That's
a
for the-
regular commission
That's
meeting.
on Monday.
We're
Yeah.
talking about
And
the
that's
thing
after the commission
in
meeting.
Lake Shore.
No, it'll be during
It'll be
the
during
commission.
commission.
You're just gonna put it on the agenda?
yeah,
Okay, so it's not a special meeting?
no, it's,
Okay.
but that's the 11th is on the vacation out there at
Okay.
the East Shore.
Got it. I missed one. I thought you were setting
No.
up a special.
The work session, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll be on on the 29th, that is our payday, right?
Yes.
Or do we put that off till June 1st?
No, we don't.
Okay, so our payday will be the 29th, so we'll be here.
Good time to do it then.
So the 29th of May? Sound good?
Yes, the
Better
world,
than-
the world
better
should be
than
back by
nothing.
then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take whatever I can
Okay,
get.
you see, you have another question from the public. I don't know if you're still taking those now. If that's time is, I know you already
Yeah,
closed that.
I've been
but
kind of flexible with some of that, just
Do you
because.
see the question from
the-
Linda?
Yeah, so,
So we're gonna do the work session on the 29th.
work session on the 29th with the payday.
Okay, thank you. For bringing that back up.
Make sure
Got it.
Bryce is. I gotta get there. So, there is a public comment out there, I just,
Don't have an answer.
yeah, this is a discussion that needs to come up with Bryce in the room, so I just don't, or not in the room, but
Available.
during Bryce's time.
So there's a public comment right now?
Yes.
So is the plan now to rock with the Florence rock, then come back with an overlay of better density and freeze thaw with the 500 to 600 ton a mile included, the Florence rock and the other rock that is more dense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much what I was saying, just in a
Right.
different way.
I'm gonna stick to where I was. I gotta let Bryce do his job for a while. Any other or commission? Okay. Is there any reason we need to talk to Brad today?
I do have a question for him, but I can let it wait for the next time.
Okay. You, Randy? Senior Mike?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, then I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second.
Got a second by Dave?
Randy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Aye.
I seen his mouth move. Your sound is a little delayed, but your mouth is ahead of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna fix it.